If you look around my office, you might realize I have kind of a love for dark, twisted cartoons. And a lot of that may be because I grew up with a lot of dark, twisted cartoons. Now, I'm not talking about the ones like Batman or ones that were meant for older kids. I'm talking about the ones that were meant for little kids, and they probably should have been made for little kids. And I loved the hell out of them. I enjoyed how much they scared me. I loved how every time you got through one, you felt a little tougher. So I'm doing a series reacting and reviewing them. We're gonna analyze how creative they are, how dark they are, and if the dark, twisted tone was warranted. So join me in taking a look at some dark tunes. You know, ever since I started this show, the recommendations I think I've gotten the most have been from Courage the Cowardly Dog. So much so, I'm just dedicating a whole month to him. So all throughout the month of July, we're doing Courage the Cowardly Dog month. And one of the ones that got the most recommended is this one. Everyone Wants to Direct was released in 2000. It gets down exactly how filmmaking is done. Let's take a look. Like I've said with many of the Courage cartoons, it's a wonderful mix of really dark shadows, but really bright colors as well. I'm sure I've made this comparison before, but it's very similar to Dick Tracy. You don't usually see combinations like that. The only one I can think of popping in my head is maybe a Suspiria, where there's really bright, vibrant colors, but really dark, harsh shadows too. And it's very difficult to pull off and make look natural, like that very natural sentence I just said. So I think in something like this where it can look very surreal and it's animation and you can pretty much do whatever you want, it works really strongly. And it is a kid show, but it's a darker kid show, so it's a good combination of the two. I like that at this point, just a knock at the door is enough to get him afraid, and justifiably so.
I wonder who that could be.
I'd just like to point out, as creepy as this upcoming character is, he never looked quite as creepy as through that screen door. That alone, I think, is more frightening, even though when they open it, he is pretty creepy looking, but that alone is gonna give me nightmares.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Benton Tarantella.
Benton Tarantella, I think, is a satire of Quentin Tarantino, but I'm not positive because nothing else about him really screams Quentin Tarantino in terms of the look of how he acts, but just the name. I think they just needed a random name, and they're like, okay, let's do something like him. He's a big thing right now. Even as this show goes, this is a pretty gruesome design, you know, very clearly kind of half dead. You can see his skeleton arm. What I love is that even though you can see his teeth like almost over his skin and everything, and the hair rotting and everything, he puts on this Groucho Marx glasses and nose, and suddenly he's human because these two just aren't that bright and they pretty much fall for anything, as you'll see more in this episode. With the colors here too, good contrast of the blue against red. They kind of gave the house a little bit of a red look, almost a purple look too, and it really goes well with sort of that blue-green sky in the background. And then immediately contrast with the super bright yellow, vibrant colors on the inside. Just a great contrast of the very cold outside and that warm inside. As you've heard me say a million times on here, contrasting colors really pop, and they really leave an impact on your memory.
You've been on television, haven't you?
Yes.
He's famous, Eustace.
Big deal.
What I like about this couple is even though they're very polar opposite, one is very optimistic and cheery and the other is very much a downer and cynical, neither of them are very bright, and they're both kind of stupid in their own unique way. Maybe that's why they're married to each other. Maybe that's the common ground that unites them.
Scouting locations for my latest blockbuster.
I must admit, I haven't seen enough of these episodes to remember whether or not this wallpaper is always in the kitchen, but among the hideous wallpaper that's in this house, this is probably my favorite because it's the most inconsistent. It like almost starts to form a pattern and then just kind of gives up halfway. It's the kind of wallpaper where if splotches of blood were thrown on the wall, nobody would notice, which take that for what it's worth.
I want to make my movie here.
What I enjoy about this story too is that obviously you know this guy is up to no good. I mean, everything from how he's acting to the fact that he's very clearly a zombie and he wants to make a movie about zombies. But you can't put together exactly what he wants to do. That there's kind of layers to his plan that have to be discovered. And so I like that. It's not obvious right from the beginning. Actually, a lot of these episodes are kind of like I thought about The Mask, too. There's a lot of elements to be discovered that aren't made clear at the beginning, and that makes the story a lot more interesting.
We'll pay tons of cash.
Even though it does say clearly the amount of money that's going to be given to him that this creature clearly doesn't have, I love how they always verbally refer to it as tons. How much? Tons.
What's the pay?
Tons.
Deal!
And we start shooting tonight.
This is something I always loved growing up in Saturday morning cartoons, when they show how they make a movie, and it's always really, really off, but that's part of the fun, is it's kind of how a child would imagine a movie is shot. So with this, they sign the paperwork and they're shooting that night and be done in the morning, because that's how it works.
This is great. Great.
I like this bit because it kind of took me a second. The first time something falls off, it's to show it's not who he really is. It's the nose and glasses. But the second time, it's because he's literally falling apart. So the first thing that falls off is fake. The second thing that falls off is real. Both are equally terrifying to Courage.
What's my role?
Digging the zombies' tomb.
Oh, you're talking.
And I like that the farmer's role is actually like just doing grunt work. It's not really a role like in the movie, but it is helping with the movie. So if you just call it a role, he suddenly thinks he's famous.
Sorry, no record of Bent and Tarantella in the independent film database.
Here's this attic again. Anytime it goes to this attic, I love it because it's just some of the best colors and shadows in all the show. Every time they get a shot up here, it just looks so good.
Hey, you want to sing a song I know?
And of course, in 2000, this is how the internet works. You type something in, and it just tells you everything you need to know. It totally 2000s internet. It also has a very proper voice like Ask Jeeves, which is definitely something that was going to be huge back then, and clearly is today.
Amateur filmmakers slay 12.
Now you see the word slay there, and I don't know, maybe nowadays, I don't know if that's seen as like a big deal, but in a lot of kid shows back then, they would say people missing or vanished, disappeared. You actually see slay on there. That's indicating they flat out murdered people, and a lot of people, 12. So again, there's something that was kind of neat about Cartoon Network back then, because they really would kind of push the envelope a little bit more about what you could get away with in a kid show. I'm not sure if they do now. They might. I haven't seen a ton of them, but it was definitely something that they did a lot more back then. So you see it's these two directors that would murder people, making them look like it's a movie, and they were captured and both are dead, and one is trying to bring the other one back as a zombie. And again, look at the designs of these two. These two just have such personality, and they're already very creepy even before they're zombies. So I honestly, I don't know if they appear more in this show. I'd like to see more of them. I would actually love to know the backstory of these two, like a whole episode just dedicated to them. Not sure if that exists, but it'd be pretty cool to see. Maybe in the Courage and Scooby-Doo crossover.
Scene 3, when planets align, dead partner rises from the grave. Scene 4, eat old lady.
I enjoy too that in his plan, only the lady was gonna get eaten in this because the farmer probably doesn't have much meat on him, but she does. Maybe they'd have him as an appetizer. Or a toothpick.
Stupid overacting dog! And quit stealing my scenes!
Stealing his scenes, even though the camera's not rolling or anything, again, just really plays into how they have no idea how this works. Tell me how this makes sense. You have a white planet and a red planet, creates a green light. Makes no sense, but man, it looks awesome. That image alone, with the green against the red and then against the blue, and also the vibrant shadows. I mean, you can say vibrant shadows in this show. That's how amazing it looks. I mean, you could frame that. It's just, it really looks great. So the brother comes to life, and I will admit this isn't quite as good a design as the other one. I mean, he looks good. I mean, he's still a pretty, menacing looking character. I maybe want a little bit more with him, but I'm sure he appropriately gave some kids some nightmares, so I should be happy. Okay, I take it back. On the close-up shots, it looks pretty good. Far away, it doesn't look that menacing, but close-up, that's... Yeah, okay, that's pretty creepy.
The big zombie lets the dog out of the box.
What? Well, if it's in the script.
And this is right out of a Looney Tunes vaudeville act where, because Courage rewrote the script, they feel bound to it, so they have to follow it, even if it's not doing what they originally set out. I mean, that's pure cartoon logic, and I don't know, it always makes me laugh.
The zombies go back in the hole and the dog buries them.
It's not my work.
You have always been a lousy writer.
Of course, being in entertainment, they take this opportunity to make fun of the other for being so bad at what they do. You know, one of those, if I was doing this, it'd be a lot better, yes, you see a lot of people in entertainment say. So he buries the zombies, and the camera keeps rolling, and they're watching the film later, which I'm really curious what that footage looked like. I mean, did Courage edit it, or how that worked? And we end on this line, clearly from Sunset Boulevard.
I'm ready for my close-up now.
All right, Mr. DeMille, I'm ready for my close-up.
Which no little kid ever gets that quote, but when they grow up, they want to see the movie, which is good. It's a good movie. And that's the end. Good stuff. I like this episode. I don't think, out of the ones I've seen, it's not one of my favorites, but I can see why people did recommend it. It is still funny. The zombies are adequately creepy looking. I think the idea of how to make a movie or a TV show or whatever when they're shooting something in a cartoon and they make up how it goes, I always love that. I think that's so much fun. It's usually imaginative too, and it's always really, really quick. Like, they shoot a scene that would take weeks, like in a minute. I love that stuff. And yeah, it still looks great. The colors are still wonderful. The shadows, of course, are wonderful. And it's a funny setup. And there are, in terms of telling the story, there is layers to it. There is something to be discovered. It isn't just like a zombie coming in trying to eat them or something, or it's just a zombie director. There is a purpose to what he's doing. There is a goal, and they have to find it out in order to defeat him. So, a good episode. I like it. Again, not one of my favorites, but I do really like it. So, what did you guys think? And more importantly, what do you want to see me review next for Courage Month? I did a poll on my Facebook. I also did one on, here on YouTube. But if there's any that you think I should do and hasn't been mentioned, bring it up in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you recommend. Now, here's me saying, tell me what you recommend, even though I just asked you what you recommend. Just connect it all to Courage. Hey everyone, if there's any particular cartoon you want me to look at as being very dark or twisted, leave it in the comments below. Again, I'm not really looking for movie scenes or cartoons meant for teenagers or older. I'm talking about ones meant for little kids, but still scare the shit out of you. Whether it's an old cartoon or a new cartoon, let me know what you want me to look at.